Hello and welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute-a-day podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse, recorded here in the dining room of the Bible Bistro, located in Sharonville, Ohio. Hey there, friends. Welcome back to Daily Dose Radio, here in the Bible Bistro. Come on in here and sit down with me. This week we've got a dandy of a psalm, Psalm 41. Psalm 41 ends the first book of the Psalter. The book of the Psalms is divided into 5 books. There's five gatherings in the Psalter, in the Psalms, and Psalm 1 through 41 makes up the first book of the Psalms. And so we come to this last psalm in the first book, and then next week we'll pick up with Psalm 42, which is the first book in the first psalm in the second book of the Psalter. This is of the choir master, a psalm of David. So we have the choir master plying his trade and David doing his thing. He's writing the stuff, and the choir master's probably setting it to music. And I'm going to call this psalm a psalm of considering the wicked enemy, because, boy, the wicked enemy is large and in charge here. This psalm is said in 13 verses. However, it is a perfect chiasmic structure. It's a chiasm. It has this perfect chiasmic structure, which I hope to point out to you this week. Now, let me try to explain a chiasm to you. Consider steps that go down. Okay, so you're thinking about steps, they're going down to something, and then you reach the bottom level, and then you have the bottom level, and then on the other side of the last step, you have steps that go up. So you're going down steps, you have the valley in between, the 2 sets of steps, and then you start going up steps on the other side. That is a simple chiastic structure. It's used a lot in the Psalms, and let me explain it here. So, in verses 1, 2, and 3, we have the blessed man described. Then in verse 4, we have the blessed man's prayer. So we step down towards our valley. And then in verses 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, we have the blessed man's trouble, which is the bottom step. So that's the valley. The blessed man's trouble goes all the way from 5 to 9. And then on the other side, we step up to prayer. Okay, that's our step on the other side. And then that's in verse 10. And then we have the blessed man described again in 11 and 12. So that's the next step up. And that step is the same level as verses 1, 2, and 3. And prayer in verse 4 is the same level as the prayer in verse 10. And then we have the bottom level there, the trouble, from 5 to 9. So we have this perfect little chiastic structure, which, what does that do for us? Why would the psalmist use that kind of construction? Well, it points us to the trouble, and it also points us to the prayer, which brackets the trouble on both sides. So prayer is said in verse 4, and prayer is said in verse 10. And then you have the blessed man who's on the step up above the prayer. He's the one making the prayer because he's blessed and he has a relationship with the Lord, so he's the one praying. And the victory comes to him because of the prayer. So it's this lovely little literary structure that the psalmist uses to create these images for us. And so it's really lovely as you look at it, and it's easy to remember. It also aids in meditation and in memorization. And then in verse 13, you end with the cherry on top, because this is the last psalm in the first book of the Psalms. And so you have this construction, which appears almost every time at the end of a book, which is verse 13, and we'll get to that later on in the week on Friday. So, I see that I'm already out of time, and I haven't even got into this. So we'll go a little bit longer today, because we have to start on our first step here, which is verses 1, 2, and 3. Verse 1, let me read these for us. Blessed is the one who considers the poor. In an evil day the Lord will deliver him. The Lord will keep him and revive him, and he will be blessed. You will not give him over to the soul of his enemies in the land. The Lord will support him upon his sick bed. In all his lying down, you will heal him. So you see the blessed man here is described. And you have a beatitude that begins the psalm. Blessed is the one who considers the poor. So we know we have the blessed man described here. And I said, I think last week, that we have these beatitudes all through the Psalms. We had it in Psalm 1, Psalm 2, in Psalm 32, in Psalm 33, 34, last week in Psalm 40, verse 4. So this is the seventh time now that we have a beatitude. Blessed is the man, or blessed is the one, or blessed are the people. Those are the things that we've been looking for. Well, here he is again. Blessed is the one who considers the poor, in an evil day the Lord will deliver him. Now notice you have the evil day mentioned right off the bat after the beatitude. In an evil day the Lord will. And then you have this just almost rapid fire description of what the Lord's going to do for the blessed man. He will deliver him, keep him, revive him. He will be blessed. He will not give him over to the soul of his enemies. He will support him, and he will heal him. So how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 things that we have about the blessed man here in the first 3 verses. You'll notice that the word blessed is used again to describe the blessed man. So blessed is the one who considers the poor. He will be blessed. Why? Because the Lord's going to do that work. The Lord's going to keep him, revive him, bless him, keep him from the soul of his enemies. He will support him. He will heal him. Well, this is just really delicious, isn't it? It's so beautiful. And of course, this is, the beginning of our psalm. So we're on the top step now. The blessed man tomorrow will take a step down and hear his prayer there in verse 4, and will also begin his trouble in verse 5. So join me then here on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. For more fresh and delicious Bible studies, podcasts, books, and more, check out the Bible Bistro online and on YouTube. Join me again next time for Daily Dose Radio.